I don't really have a cold open this week, but I do want to talk about the rhetoric on the internets again, because here we are. People don't know how to control themselves.
They surely do not.
I find it really funny the expectations people carry into a match and then get upset after the match when it didn't go exactly their way. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But
In details.
in details, until we do, welcome to the Snobby Boys. No, I don't know why I did that twice.
It did that on its own. That's been a while since it's
What the
done
fuck?
that.
What the fucking fuck? What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Snobby Boy Podcast. I'm your host, Colby. That's my homeboy Joe over there. I pointed the right way this time. Awesome.
Good
Um,
job.
right? um, fuck this week. I just want to throw that out there. Just fuck this week already. We're going to be recapping Bratislava, City News, Bro Talk. We're not going to be doing Who's That Baller this evening. I did not get around to it over the last couple of days. Suffice it to say, if you listen to the cold open, you understand probably where my head was at, and I really just didn't feel like putting the effort in. So we're just going to bro it out afterwards. Yeah, sorry, I totally just took up what you were supposed to say, but
Hey, we go,
it's just
man.
one of
Don't
the.
forget, just hit that like, subscribe, notification bell, all that good stuff. Smash the like, please, if you're in the comments, all that good stuff. You guys know the drill at this point. You watch and listen to enough podcasts, y'all should know. But we will go ahead and remind you to go ahead and do those things. It helps us grow. It helps us continue doing what we like doing, which is talking city together. Sometimes not so much with y'all. I'm gonna be completely honest with you.
Sometimes not.
I'm gonna be real honest with y'all. This week has been difficult because of that, but we're gonna push through.
Unnecessarily difficult.
Yeah. So
Yeah, man. So we're gonna get into a little bit of Champions League talk here. To start it off, first, how did you feel pre-match walking into this? What was your expectation?
uh for this one, I thoroughly was comfortable going into the match, regardless of the lineup that Pep threw out there. I felt like this was a team that we were going to possess the majority of the game and not really struggle too much with. Um, I I said in our IG post 3-0 dub for City. I was not far off. 4-0.
Nope.
Um, but for me, I this is a club that we should not struggle with, even though it's an away European match. Those are never necessarily easy. But
Our first one in Slovakia, by the way.
yes, so you never know what happens in that situation. But the golf in class, when you looked at the lineups and leading up to it, was quite large, and I felt like that was uh, going to be on display on the pitch. So I was very comfortable. I was excited about getting to watch. Um, and seeing the lineup that Pep was going to put out, because we knew it was going to be a little bit of a change up, and from what we saw over the weekend, and I just enjoy watching the boys play. It's a lot better when it's just taking notes and
Right.
enjoying. It's a little more difficult when we try to engage during the match with some folks. But for me, I was excited. Figured we were going to comfortably win the match. So that's where I was at. How about you, my friend?
Um. Hmm. I I don't. So watching the previous Bratislava match, they had was it last week or the
Celt-
previous week?
Celtic, right?
Yeah. It was a very close one at that too. Um, Celtic definitely, you know, they want this that bad. I mean, shit, Rod Stewart was there.
Yeah.
like, But I thought they played really well against Celtic, and thinking back on our preseason, where we went to UNC and saw our boys play Celtic, and the way that they played, I figured this was going to be a little bit of a struggle for them, but I didn't really see it was that much. And I said, damn, if they're holding up against Celtic, what are they going to bring for us? This is their first time playing us. I believe this is the first time in the Champions League. And being the low man on the totem pole like that, you want to come out and you want to put your best foot forward. And that's not to say that they didn't in this match, but I think that we are just a more compelling side, if you will. Yeah, Celtic got destroyed last match. We're talking about another match. Um, and yeah, I just I didn't have big expectations of a massive score line, but I mean, surprise, there it was, 4-0. I was pretty happy about it, to be honest. The lineup, I really didn't see any defects in the lineup. I figured that some of the swaps that we would have would be in there, such as Okay Gundogan, which a lot of people have been really calling for him to be a starter, especially in the Premier League matches. But I think that his most of his comfortability with this team does come in the higher stakes matches, such as a Champions League match. He just I don't know what it is, but he just shows out a little bit more. Having Phil in was necessary at this point. Not having Kev, I really felt like the attack was on a much better. What's the word? They were just on the same the same plane, and I really enjoyed seeing it. I like the things seeing Phil work centrally. I know we talk about that a lot, but yeah.
I'm glad you brought up Phil because he hadn't hit the ground running, I guess.
Mm.
So far, he hasn't looked great in his cameo appearances. He hasn't started much, and when he has gotten in, it hasn't looked like the Phil of last year. But last night, I thought it was significantly better from him. He performed much better, and got that confidence back. You saw the one touch passing and the little combinations from him and the other guys in the middle of the pitch that really indicates his confidence level and how he's feeling. So getting him back out there um, was great, and seeing him play so well was definitely something I was happy to see. The piece of the lineup that I really enjoyed and liked was seeing Doku and Savino both starting on the wings,
Mm.
their natural side. Savino was on the left, Doku was on the right, and it felt more, I guess, natural for them, and they were driving to the byline, putting crosses in a little bit more. It was more diverse of an attack than we had seen when we were playing against
Mm-hmm.
Newcastle, kind of with that low block, and then also going back to Arsenal when it was two banks of five, pretty much around the 18. Because we played most of
Mm.
this match within Bratislava's uh, 18 yard line, and just
Yeah, we,
pass.
we we weren't really out of their end much in the match, which was nice. See
Yes,
that level of domination and possession, but did it
yeah,
also kind of make for a boring game in the same sense?
a little bit, yeah, because we were just pinging the ball around. They didn't really come out and press us too much. They had a couple of
Mm-mm.
moments on the counter that looked somewhat dangerous, but it really wasn't much more than a city possessing the ball. I think we had the ball for damn near 80% of the match. So
I mean,
most of
that
the time
tracks.
was spent just knocking the ball around, trying to find openings and finding ways to break through their defense. So it wasn't the most exciting of matches. Like maybe that's why people had some of the takes that they did. But for me, I thought the boys played fantastic. The ball movement was good. The off ball movement was even better. Um,
Mhm.
they were working hard very quickly to win the ball back. When they did lose it, there wasn't a whole lot of just turning and running. It was with a purpose and trying to hunt the ball back and get it back. And that happened time and time again. Anytime
Mhm.
Bratislava got it and tried to get out, we had guys in the right place, winning possession and then keeping possession. They weren't just kicking it. It was finding somebody open, taking a touch into open space to create more possession for us. So I personally felt like they played great. I enjoyed watching them knocking the ball around, and in doing so, it allowed us to watch players off ball movement because we weren't really getting pressured. So you weren't having to like stare at the ball the entire time. You could kind of like
Right.
almost put your coach's hat on and watch uh, how we were moving off ball, what runs people were making in behind, and seeing the combination play. So for me, I didn't think it was a boring game at all, nor did I think that they played really poorly. Some folks were going that route, but for me, they played great. Um, 4-0 win. I don't understand how anyone could be upset or unhappy with that kind of result when you go away
Mm-mm.
in Europe. Clean sheet, you put in four, and you controlled the game from the very beginning to the very end. So like there's not much more you can ask for in a match for me.
There's not. I think maybe for me saying it was boring is because I was utterly distracted by the fact that the internet and all of the people on the internet that we heavily deal with were being, for a lack of better terms, a bunch of dickheads. Because they can't say that on the internet; they're too scared.
This
Sorry, I might start slinging zingers because some of the shit that comes out of the fingertips of people is laughable more beyond anything. Like, and I'm going to repeat what I said at the beginning of the episode. There were a few people whom brought their um, discontentness and the result and put it for everyone to see. And I guess maybe it was I don't know. It just mm. I can't stand ungrateful fucking people. I can't stand
negative
uh
Nellies.
negative Nellies and what it really is that a lot of the people, and I've said this before in episodes, is that there's some people that are just got too goddamn close to the game, and then there's this other that they bring in this perception of what they feel the game should have been and what players should have done in order to make themselves look better. Like, dude, you're not the fucking coach. You don't have a class A license. You're not on the sidelines. Your opinion on the matter really doesn't matter because that's not what happened and that's not what the plan was. Okay. Well, nobody was out to make Doku, or excuse me, Mateus Nunes shine in this one. He did exactly what Pep told him to do, and he looked good doing it. If you can't see the fact that off ball movement and all that stuff, creating space for other players isn't a part of the game, then what are you actually playing? What game is this? Because I'm not sure now. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it's almost a little bit of gaslighting too, especially when people are trying to take down what we're saying and our perspective on it. Like, I understand having opposite perspectives on the game, but like to kind of like poo poo on someone and and talk them down as if they don't know enough or we're not seeing another perspective. Maybe we've already seen that perspective. We just don't care to fucking put our energy into it because it's not the positive or front foot step. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's very annoying the amount that we see over there, and honestly, it makes the game a drag for especially us. Like, you're just ungrateful little bitches sometimes, and it really really shows, especially on the internet. Like, I don't know if it's the fact that you've got a screen in front of you that makes you feel holier than thou, but you're not. Your shit is not rose smell scented. I promise you,
Nope, neither is ours, but we're willing
and we
to
don't claim to be either.
that part right there. And if y'all bring and people bring different perspectives with actual facts to back it up,
Right,
then let's enjoy a dialogue back and forth because I
right,
love this is why we do what we do. We love talking about this game. We love talking about this team.
right.
Okay. We're like both of our kids play. Like this is not just a hobby. This is like our life. That's what
Yeah,
we
this
do on
literally
a
is our
daily
life.
basis. So
Yeah.
it's like if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. But don't sit here and say certain things that are actually true that come out of our mouth or out of our fingertips doesn't matter. It's mind-boggling to me that people got on these social medias and said Nunez performed poorly because he wasn't the one making the key passes. There is like it just shows to me that you have no background whatsoever in the game. You're strictly a fan. You don't
Yep.
you didn't play, you don't coach, you're not heavily involved in any other aspects besides just watching the team on Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. Because off especially in the city side. Also tell me you're a brand new fan without telling me you're a brand new fan because if
There's that.
you've watched Pep at all in the past couple of years, off-ball movement
It's
is
necessary.
so important. And we
It's
saw that
vital.
not 2 weeks ago against Arsenal when we couldn't break them down because all of our guys were just standing around, not making runs in behind, not moving the defense around, not threatening anybody with diagonal runs into the corners. So it's just I and then just looking around and seeing people just negative about the match. Like I don't understand what people were looking for more. Did you want them to win 10-0? Did you want them to
Apparently.
possess the ball for 95% of the game instead of 80% of the game?
Apparently.
Like what else could they have done for you to not be pissy about the match?
Again,
It's just
this is a lack of vitamin D over there. So we'll just leave it at that because I really firmly believe that's what it is at this point. It's just the fact that there's not enough sunny days for them to have like any sort of good energy or like some sort of dopamine dump. Like in a 4-0 win should be a dopamine dump if I'm being
yes.
honest. If for me it wasn't because of this reason. You guys took the fucking fun and piss out of this fucking game. It's ridiculous. It's not what we're here for. It's not what anybody's here for.
4 different goal scorers too. So a lot of
For
people were
yeah.
involved. Like what are we what are we talking about?
Anyways, let's
Ridiculous.
move on from this a little bit. Um, one of the things that I would like to share that I noticed in this
Mhm.
because we have been dealing with the low block all season long from everybody. I saw our team push the other team into the 18-yard box and dismember them a little bit, separate them out, pull them off outside the box, push them down deep inside the box, creating space centrally within the box. If we can figure out how to do that against teams in our league, we will have a much better time scoring goals and getting the service into Holland that everybody wants to have. And
Yeah,
sometimes it's not even going to be the service into Holland. It's literally breaking the line going into the box. So at least we have a closer attempt on goal. I felt we did really good in that, and I hope that in the next few matches and continuing through the season that we continue to try and employ that type of tactic in order to break down these incredibly hard low blocks that people are throwing on us.
that's a perfect segue into the first goal because that's exactly what happened. They didn't
Yep.
just excuse me, unlike Arsenal where we pinned them in but then just slowly passed the ball from side to side. We stop it. Sorry, Phoebe's getting in my face.
Phoebes.
She got to chill out, bro. We we would play back a bit to pull them away from the 18, which then, like you said, creates space in between lines. And Rico did a great job of this in that goal, where he picked it up in a small space in behind the line, in between the lines, where we created space by drawing them away from the 18 a bit, and then finding that space. And Rico played a nice, great line splitting through ball to Doku, who crossed it. Savinho got a great foot on it, but it got deflected, and then Gundo was in the right place at the right time. Great shot into the back of the goal. So that goal, prime example of what you were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep. And I felt like that happened not with just not with Rico's goal, but also Maka's goal.
yeah, absolutely, 100%. Rico,
Yeah.
Maka, and was Foden involved in that one too?
Foden was involved in the Maka goal. He
Yeah.
actually,
Yep.
if you remember, he did a nice little pop up little liftover, if you will, uh, inside the box that landed
Yes.
literally
Yep.
right in front of James McAtee's foot, and he just whaled it.
Smashed it.
Yep.
Academy grads linking back up again.
Yep.
Rico, McAtee, and Foden.
Yeah, it's funny you just said that because I actually just ran across, forget where it was, the list of academy players out or have been sold
Mm-hmm. That are playing
or
elsewhere.
are currently playing for us. Dude, that list was massive.
Is deep.
Massive.
And it's
I
not
mean,
just
I knew a
players
lot of
playing.
them, but there
It's
were some of them
exactly.
that I didn't even know were in our youth academy. And I was like, oh shit, what? Fuck, why don't we still have that guy?
Yeah. Exactly. The Foden goal too was most of our goals, guys, came from what Colby just mentioned. So it was ball movement, crisp, quick ball movement. It was off ball movement, creating space for others and creating space in between the lines and not just slowly passing it back and forth between our center backs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Foden, which he can't say enough good things about him. Again, picking the ball up in space, played. This was Doku and Foden's goal that they played a little 1-2. Um, so pretty easy finish for Phil, but in the past few weeks, he's had opportunities that he usually buries and didn't. But this was another classic Phil goal, top of the box, kind of just passing it into the top left corner,
Mm-hmm.
past the goalkeeper's reach. Him and Doku were combining really well on that right side, and that was another great moment for us. Seeing Gundo and Phil, and then McAtee at the end picking up his first goal as a City player. Three people you love to see score because Gundo and Phil's confidence from getting those is just going to keep building from there. And then Holland's doing what he usually does. He scores again, makes it 42 goals and 41 appearances, or 41 goals and 40 appearances, something like that.
That stat still is blowing my mind that we even have that. Cause just like I'm still not used to it. Like
That's a big deal, but it's like
it is a big
become so
deal.
normal. But it's like so normal for us to like. Well, Holland broke another record. He's like
Right.
he's still doing all this shit. How normal it is for us to feel about crazy shit that he accomplishes at this point.
Right.
It's just it's wild. It's wild. And it could have been more. I mean, honestly, it could have been more than just 4-0. There was lots of other opportunities. Holland had one where he usually finishes, but I think he was one-on-one with the keeper and hit it right at him. Doku and Foden hit the post in the first half. Nunez played Holland again. Apparently, Nunez didn't play any balls into anybody or make any critical passes, but he got
No.
one into Holland, and the header. Holland by himself usually just heads it in, free header, but he hit it wide. So, what were you watching? It wasn't the same game as us. Thanks, Nick.
Nick said,
Appreciate you, brother.
yeah, thanks for hitting the leg. We need that.
Good job, brother.
Sorry. He said
Tell your friends to do the same thing, my guy.
Yeah, tell everybody to do
So,
the same thing.
for me again, like if we're looking at players who did well, I think everybody performed well. I don't think there was anybody that I could say performed poorly. Um, Gundo showed that against opposition like this, he can handle the six, so we can rotate our players into that Rodri position when we're playing a team where we know we're going to possess the ball for big periods of time, and we don't necessarily need somebody like a Rodri to break up play necessarily and be more of a defensive presence. Gundo is perfect for that role because he's also what he's also been known for with us is those late arriving, deeper starting runs and not necessarily being the one right up front. A lot of the times when he's scored goals for us is because he's coming from a deeper position and being like that last guy into the box and finishing for us. So I like him in that spot against this opposition. Clearly, with his physical limitations as an older player, that might not be the case against some of our bigger oppositions and bigger teams that we're going to be playing. But this shows that we are able to rotate players through that position as needed. So I felt like everybody performed well. The subs came on and did well. Not a thing I think I could say negative about a player. I think everybody did well. So
Yeah, yeah. I really don't have any gripes in this one. I mean, again, a clean sheet. We slaughtered them. It probably could have been more goals, but I don't really think that's the name of the game in this one. Really, I mean, yes, we're
hmm
actually sitting at the bottom of the table where the teams get pushed onto the round of 16. But that really doesn't scare me with the rest of the schedule that we have for the Champions League. Let's talk a little bit about that sixth role because a lot of people were um, almost questioning whether or not Mateus would actually start there,
hmm
or if he would be more of a left mid pushing up in the wing, like he has over the last several games that he's been in appearance. So look going forward on what you just said about Gundo being older. Yes, he can hold up the sixth role, but what happens when he doesn't? Who's the guy that you put in there? Is it Mateo? Is it Nunez? You know what I mean? Like
hmm
there's still the option there of who that may be. I think Kova is the main person to hold that up if Gundo does decide to fall off. Um, especially during, like you just said, against bigger opposition. Um, I still think Mateus Nunes, even though he's worked out so well in the left mid and working up in the wing, he can still fall back into the sixth role and be more of a physical statue
hmm
or stature amongst everybody else. His physicality is a little bit better than I would say that Gundo's is. Um, and maybe Kova, but I think they're almost kind of hand in hand. You're just again talking about somebody who's a little bit taller and has more leverage over somebody than somebody who's a little bit shorter in Kova. Um, but I'm also just to say that I'm really happy that we have three different options behind Rodri because last season we were without one really. I mean, Kova was there, but nobody was seeing him run the six role.
right. When he was in there, it was almost as a compliment to Rodri, not a replacement for.
Right.
So when we saw him at the end of the season getting a lot of minutes, it was him and Rodri both playing that like double pivot almost at times. So
Mm-hmm.
and with Nunez in that game, I felt like with Rico being available and Stones also playing as a center back, I felt like that stepping into the midfield was probably going to be one of those two to support Gundo, and that really freed up Nunez to play wherever he really wanted to. He picked
Mm-hmm.
up spaces all over the pitch. I felt like there were
Mm-hmm.
times where he was overlapping and playing wide. There was times when he was combining in the
Mm-hmm.
midfield or making kind of runs in behind, trying to run off of Holland's shoulder to create space, and then flip flopping with Phil. So there was a lot of freedom for him in that game.
Mm-hmm.
With for me going forward in the big matches, um, if everybody's healthy, um, I still would like to see some Johnny Stones in that position. Um, I think he's the most like for like replacement. He's a little different player than Rodri, but as far as stature, um, athleticism, ball playing ability, John's just so good at all of those things. Maintaining fitness is obviously a big piece for him. So that's the that's the
That's the
bugaboo with him
bugaboo.
is he hasn't been able to stay healthy for us anyway for a little while. But from what I was reading, he's working with a new you know
New
physical
physio.
therapist, physio to change up his routine to hopefully help with that. And clearly
Mm-hmm.
that's a focus because he made a point of saying that in the media that staying healthy as a group is going to be really important going forward, especially for him. So
Well, I mean,
I
you just hit 30, bud. It's yeah.
yeah,
You definitely need to
bingo.
start thinking about your health a little bit more. You can't be as reckless as you used to be. Not saying that he was, but you know,
Yeah.
it's when you get to that age, you wake up in the morning and things that normally didn't hurt start hurting.
We can attest to this as folks in our mid to
7
late
years deep.
30s. Yes,
7 years
exactly.
deep into it.
Even just sleeping wrong, sometimes you wake up and it's like, oh, my, that that hurts. My neck, my lower back.
My hip.
Yeah, just from sleeping incorrectly. So take care of yourself, boys.
Yeah, right. What was a key moment for you in this match that kind of either set the tone or whatever?
I think for me, let me. There it is. I'm gonna go early before the goal even happened. George,
My pussy and my crack.
we're going Khalees throwback. I know what you were doing. As soon as I seen that comment come up, the song started playing in my head, George.
Yep. She was twerking
My
in there and everything.
my milkshake brings all the boys to the yard.
They're like,
Man, thank you for that, George.
yeah, we kind of needed that one.
Needed a smile and a laugh. Appreciate it, brother.
Oh, geez, here we go.
Yes,
Now,
he is.
I am out of dude. Do you not
Hey.
have you not gotten to know me over the last
You
year?
know the drill at this point.
My give a fuck does not exist.
Zero. Before the goal happened, they had an early opportunity off of a corner we had, and our star boy was the one tracking back, preventing. Yes, pew pew right there on Colby's shirt was the one tracking back and breaking up the attack, which allowed the rest of the team time to get back. That's right. And then shortly after that is when our first goal came. So for me, pretty dangerous counter early off of a corner. It could have been worse, but Phil, as one of our star attacking players, getting back, working hard, sprinting, breaking up the attack to prevent danger was, I think, the key moment, because we were then able to turn it around, get an early goal, which settles everybody, and then puts us on the front foot for the remainder of the game. So that could have been, if Bratislava is the one that gets the early goal off of that kind of situation, totally different ball game the rest of the way, and they're able to play a different style of ball for them with a lead, and then it's even more packed in and compact at that point. Even if it's 4 minutes into the game, they're still going to play the rest of the way like that, just to either get all three or maybe get a point, because they're not expecting any out of that. So even if they concede at some point, if they are able to get a point out of it, they're more than happy. So for me, that was I'll say that was my key moment of the match, was Foden tracking back off of a counter attack off the corner early in the match.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first goal from Gundo. I think seeing that and getting a bit of nostalgia in that goal,
yes,
definitely brought a bit of fire to the rest of the squad. Getting to see him score, I believe that was his first goal with us since he's come back.
Wearing the captain's armband too,
and wearing the captain's armband, which was a major issue for people. The captain's armband, and who's been wearing it lately. We'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, I that for me set it off, because again, the nostalgia that comes with a Mr. Whippy type goal.
Mr. Whippy.
I
love that nickname.
That really set it off. But I think even after Foden's goal, after 15 minutes, it had me a little worried that we were going to go back into, was it the Watford match, where we ended up conceding and then they almost scored the second?
Yeah.
I was scared that was about to happen again, especially considering that we literally left 30 minutes on the clock to do absolutely nothing. It was good, though, that we did come back after the half, and Holland did get one just about, we'll say, 13 minutes after the half to really shore it up. It was for me. It was still a scary first half, regardless. Just not capitalizing on certain things, not making the best runs. Not to say they were bad, because we have already said that they were. On the whole, they were. But, and then, I mean, McAtee getting his first goal was really awesome to see too. I mean, every goal. I mean, Holland's goals aren't as special as they used to be, if we're being real. It's almost an expectation that we see him score at least one in every contest. if he's in. But yeah, it was really cool seeing that. I really hope that for Maka going into the rest of the season, and we're about to go on a 2 week break. But I hope that helps boost his energy up a little bit and makes him fight a little harder during training to get into the side, because he really helped complement Foden very well in this one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. He sure did.
Um, any changes you would have made in this one? I feel like we kind of already trickled through most of that.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't have changed anything. I think they played exactly how they were supposed to and did what they needed to do to secure the dub. I would like just to point out that notice what Colby said. It was a little bit of a scary first half, but you didn't see the panic button getting pushed on our social medias, on his social media, saying this is shit, this is awful, they're playing so poorly. It can look, you can not like something or think it could have been a little bit better and not go on social media and run your yapper
Right.
and be super negative about shit.
Yeah, literally, not
That's
every thought necessitates a voice. Like, there's things that you can keep to yourself. There's this one social media guy who I find hilarious. His name's Justin Nutley, and he makes this one shirt in his little shop, and it's a super soaker, and it says "I love squirters." I want one so fucking bad.
can't imagine why.
Oh my God, right?
I'm gonna show George's comment one more time.
I am. But there was this one that he made. He was talking about people on the internet now. He's like, "What happened to quiet time? When can you just go sit with your own thoughts and not have to tell anybody?" It was fucking hilarious.
Dude.
I have to find it and show it to you. But truth be told, not every thought necessitates putting it out there to the fucking world. Sometimes it's good to just shut the fuck up.
Or just text your friends about it. He doesn't have to
Right?
go out on social media or go find other people's comments, then jump on that shit.
Right?
Like it
Like,
that's why if you notice during games, even when we're watching live, you don't see a lot of tweets coming from our accounts or posts on Instagram or anything, because we're trying to sit and enjoy the match and then texting each other throughout
right?
instead of just jumping on, and because it's so much more enjoyable that way, just to sit and watch the match, maybe talk a little banter with you about stuff, how we might change things, what we think was looking good. But
Right.
y'all getting on social medias and arguing with people mid, like, how do you watch the rest of the game? You're missing shit because you're too busy typing. So maybe a little less of that.
Teach these how to shut up.
Amen to that.
Amen. Let's go to a little break, and then we will get into city news and some bro talk, and then we'll shut this shit down for the night. How about that?
And a kit change, right, for us.
Oh yeah, we're gonna have a little kit change. Being that we have finally worn our third kits, second kit. Which one is it? Is it third? Okay.
Yeah, it is the third.
Yep, we'll be changing threads here in a second, but we'll be right back. Oh, there it is. There it is. Now everybody knows. Now everybody knows. They can see us. Hi. Hey. Well, that was fun.
That wasn't the smoothest in the world, but hey,
No, it wasn't.
we make it
I was
work.
trying to get ahead of myself, so I didn't have to like wait for the last minute to press the button. But yeah, well,
All good.
here we are. Here we are. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna change the color back here too. There we go.
Boom.
Boom. All right, let's get into a little city news, guys.
So 4 kind of topics, 2 major ones. We'll save those 2 bigger ones about 2 of our players that popped up in in the news for the second part. Uh, Today, obviously, was the 1 year anniversary of Francis Lee's passing, so there was some nice tributes made out to him, one of our club legends. So big piece there is just sending out some positive love and vibes because I'm sure today was a difficult day for his family, remembering him and all that. So big ups to club legend Francis Lee. Um, Pouring out for him tonight when you guys are relaxing. So that's piece one. Fun piece also. Again, how people could be negative about something like this is interesting. We won the match, obviously. We did not lose. So this was our 25th straight match in the Champions League, unbeaten, which now equals and our rival Manchester United. They held the record by themselves. Now they got to share that shit with us. And we have an opportunity in a few weeks to go ahead and pass that. So another thing that they can't hold over our heads anymore. So that's always fun. So again, something to be positive about.
I have a former therapist whom is a utard. Is what I'm gonna start calling him now.
Okay.
Sorry if that offends anybody. I don't care because people are too offended by the dumbest things. Um, so he got into my mailbox this afternoon, my personal mailbox, and he said, "You're already taking the piss out of us." I was like, "Blame Ineos," and it was just like, "Well, I'm going to blame the Glazers first. Who's making the decisions right now? Who's really making the decisions right now?"
Precisely.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
The
Ineos.
the yeah the amount of dumbassery that comes out of that fucking fan base, especially the Americans. Now I can kind of understand. What I don't get is the fact that this motherfucker played the game growing up, so he should know better. But the fact is that I have never met like I think I've made this comparison before on here. If anybody knows the Dallas Cowboys history, you'll understand that they are exact replicas of United.
Carbon copy.
Carbon fucking copy. You might as well make their owner Jerry Jones. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same fucking shit as Jim Ratcliffe or the Glazer family. It's just a bunch of money pouring into something, trying to obtain something that they tried to or they did achieve back in the '90s, but now they can't do
A
it
long
at
time
all.
ago.
Very, very long time ago. So yeah, I just find it funny that any United fan has the gumption to get into anybody's fucking mailbox and want to try to start talking shit. I think that's fucking hilarious.
Huge facts.
Huge facts.
Couldn't
Thank you for coming to
agree
my
more.
TED Talk.
Right. Exactly.
Oh
So
man. All right.
go do one for the United fans.
Yeah. Please do.
Let's start with someone we talked a bit about earlier with Mateus Nunes. A report came out super early this morning from a lot of major city social media accounts that Nunes had been arrested back in September while in Spain for trying to steal someone's phone who was taking unsolicited pictures of him in a fucking bathroom. And then within maybe an hour, they were retracting said post and saying, "Well, this was super over exaggerated, and weren't any charges filed, and there's no arrests actually happening." And then Mama Nunes jumped in and was saying, "This is all
Never happened.
fabricated. This never
Never
happened."
happened.
Again and again,
This is the red media doing their fucking shit
trying to stir the pot like a motherfucker.
on a player like Mateus, who is like next to Rodri, the quietest on the fucking
Yeah,
team. Like, you really had to pick bones with him?
yeah.
Wow.
So and again,
Wow. Reaching
we've
for the
had
stars, aren't we?
two big thoughts here for me on this one. One, overreaction, trying to be
From
first to report
butter.
news without any kind of vetting and
Mm-hmm.
putting it out there with a thing like a player getting arrested. That's an easy fact check.
Yeah.
There's this thing called the internet. You can go look it up
Right.
and find if he was
Right.
actually arrested or not. So so part one, big city fan accounts, do better. Don't go spreading
Do much better.
rumors
All
about
of
our
you are
players.
Most of you guys are parrots anyways. The only one that I really don't consider a parrot, or the ones that I don't consider a parrot, is like Martin and Blue Tone. Like they actually say some shit that it makes you think. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not objective to the point where you're just like, the fuck is he talking about? Or too like agreeable with what the media says. He actually has something to say. They actually have something to say. There's other ones like City Extra and all them. City Lads, dude, you guys are fucking parrots. I'm sorry, dude. I don't care how long you've been in it, how long you've been doing it. All you do is repost shit that you've
This
seen from sometimes a non-credible journalist or journo source, and it's ridiculous, and it's a stain on this community, in my opinion, because you're not doing the work on trying to debunk shit for your own club. You're just feeding the narrative.
that's what that part right there was what frustrated me the most when I woke up this morning and started reading about it and seeing it was our own big accounts the like parroting out false information to put down essentially and like help push the narrative that our player did something wrong and without checking anything. And then the fact that you have to come out and put out another post very soon after saying it was exaggerated, this isn't right, blah blah blah. It's such a bad look when you're supposed to be pushing the club. And I couldn't agree with you more about Tone and Martin and some of the others that actually they do have, some inside info and they don't just try to be first to post shit. They wait until it's been confirmed before, you know, putting it out. And even when these other, pages, big pages that have lots of followers and everything post shit, it's still for most of that for those guys like this is being put out there. I haven't heard anything that is confirmed, but this is the story that's being out. They're not posting it as fact, saying this happened like other folks are, which is
Mhm.
the frustrating thing. So please, please do better. And the second part of this, if you're a public figure, if you're not a public figure, and you're in the fucking bathroom and somebody's trying to take unwanted pictures of you, you are well within your rights to smack that fucking phone out of their hand and do worse, in my opinion. So the fact that he would be the one allegedly arrested when this perv is taking pictures of him in the
At that
bathroom,
point,
that dude is the one that should be arrested
yeah.
for harassment at that point, not
Well, I mean
Nunez.
that's sexual assault at that point. I mean
Yes.
that's straight on. That's straight on what the fuck it is. You have literally gone into someone's private space and took a picture without their consent.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the consent line is drawn when we're talking about taking pictures, especially in America. I can take a picture of whatever the fuck I want, whenever the fuck I want, because that's freedom of press, right? When I go into a private space, a bathroom, someone's bedroom, and I'm taking pictures of them, and they don't know about it. What level piece of shit are you? And why aren't you
Exactly.
getting yours? And why is like I really hope the Nunez's go after this guy and prosecute him, or at least try to charge him with that type of behavior. I mean, that's just unacceptable, dude. Like, I don't care how much of a fan you are. To go in and do that is well above and beyond out of line.
That's grimy, and that's the person that should be getting the shit thrown at them, not
Yeah,
Nunez waking up to seeing reports about him getting arrested in Spain that aren't true. Like, what kind of
I
crap is
would
that?
I would have him publicly castrated.
That's going to stop
I
certain
mean,
behaviors, isn't it?
I hope it does.
We would hope so, right? So
Yeah. All right.
not only did we have Nunez in the news for bathroom related stuff unjustly, um, our captain Kyle was like once again photographed in public, relieving himself in the corner of some building. Um, Again, publicly condemning someone without knowing the full story, which is what social media is all about nowadays,
Right.
is taking a little still picture and drawing all of the wrong conclusions before knowing any facts because you saw a picture and your opinion is what counts, which is craziness to me. And
Right.
the amount of folks that got on him and straight, the hypocrisy was out of control. Is it a great look? Probably not.
Is it a
Yes,
look the team should have? Probably not. But we're human.
everybody has done this shit
Yeah.
before. Everyone. I don't care
Stop
who you
acting brand
are.
new.
You've parking garages, woods, a building in the side alley after a night out at the bar.
Exactly that.
Sometimes just driving home from work and you can't, and you don't
Right.
have time to get to a bathroom and it just creeps up on you and you got to go pull off to the side of the road and go take a leak. That shit happens. Everybody does it. This is not an indictment on the guy's character or eligibility to be captain. Again, the
And let's
players
remember who
chose him.
chose him.
Yes.
Yeah.
The players in the locker room once again picked him as the captain, not vice captain, not as a member of the leadership group. They chose him as the captain.
Right.
So him taking a leak when he had to go is not an indictment on his
Clearly
character
in a place where there wasn't an accessible bathroom. If you looked
or
at the
other people
pictures,
around.
since a picture's worth 1,000 words, like let's really take that and dissect it. He really didn't look like he was in a place that he could have, went in and said, "Hey, can I use your loo?" No, he wasn't.
Nor
He
was
was in
he
a
just,
fucking alley.
yeah, he wasn't in the middle of the street with his thing out. He was in a corner of a little building taking a pee.
Right. He wasn't flinging it around and showing everybody that he could write his name on the fucking pavement.
Right.
It's been blown way out of proportion. This whole mentality of, you should be held to a higher standard. Well, let's hold you to a higher standard,
How
huh?
about that? Let's turn
How
that
about
right around.
that? Yeah. Do you only wait until you get to the nearest bathroom if you've really got to go? Are
Or do
you
you
that much of
pee
a
your
priss?
pants?
Or do you pee exactly? Or do you piss your pants? Because I'm gonna go probably with the latter of the two. The way that you're coming off, you're probably somebody who pees their pants. So
Yeah. A higher standard. Yeah, that comment really got me. Was these guys need to be
yeah.
held to a higher standard? They're
No, they don't. They're fucking
human
humans, man.
beings.
They're the same type of. They put their fucking pants on the same way you do. They are
And
no different. They make money for doing something you can't. That's what you're mad at.
higher standard for certain things, absolutely, because they're role models for kids. As soon as you step on the pitch, you become a role model for a kid. No, regardless. But for peeing outside, whether it's a finable offense in England
There's
or not,
there's decency laws
it
over
was
there. Remember?
£150 fine. Like, tell me, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. That's not that's less than a
That's a
speeding ticket here.
literally. He probably wipes his ass with $150 toilet paper. That
So, like,
doesn't phase anybody, and it's a slap on the wrist at best, dude.
it's
I'm
a
not
little
going to let
ticket. You go pay it.
anybody shame anybody for having to take a wee when they got to go.
Exactly. He didn't want to pee his pants like Miles Davis.
Right?
If peeing your
He didn't want to be
pants
that
is
cool.
Lady, you're scaring us. That's the grossest thing I've ever seen.
Let's go.
Let's go. For hopefully our audience understands our Billy Madison references.
Well, there's only 11 in here tonight, so if they've never seen it, then we suggest that you go find it and watch it.
Go do that. That'd be a great one to watch. It's when you need a movie to put on that you don't have to think about and just mindlessly laugh at silliness. Any of those 90s, early 2000s Adam Sandler movies are great choices.
Yeah, it's great doobie movie.
That part too.
Yeah. Nick, I see you, bro. You said it last week. Hey, is your favorite scent Kennabob for Men? If you know the reference to Kennabob for Men, you're an A+ in my book. Awkward silence. All right, let's get into some bro talk. I know who's that baller this week. Sorry, it was
it's been a week.
It's been a week. It was a long
it's only
weekend.
Wednesday.
and it's only Wednesday. Yeah, I dealt with quite a bit over the weekend, and then to walk into the interwebs and listening to the absolute bullshit that comes out from on there, I just didn't feel like touching my computer. So we just gonna talk about some shit.
There you go.
What are we talking about?
Um, I had planned on doing a little bit more research on grabbing a few just general talking points or questions for us.
Sure.
Um, h- what was your favorite book growing up?
Next question.
Next question. Okay.
If I were to sit here and tell you that I was a reader as a child, I'd be lying to you.
You'd
So
be lying. Okay. None is the answer.
the furthest my right, the furthest my reading went as a child was what I had to read in school and Sports Illustrated and snowboarding magazines. A lot of snowboarding magazines.
Did you used to get the Sports Illustrated for Kids junks back in the day?
I did. I did. Actually, my grandmother ordered it for me because my grandfather he had a yearly subscription. Like he always got the big subscription too, so he always got like the football phone or some cool shit like that.
Yep.
And every year the sports the swimsuit edition would come out. He would give it to one of my cousins as a gift. And I remember the one year the cousin oldest to me, he got it and he went into the bedroom and I like ran after him. I was like, I want to see, I want to see, I want to see.
Coming too.
But yeah, I mean, if I'm gonna pick a favorite like child's book, it would probably be Charlie and the Chocolate, like the Roald Dahl Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, because I loved the original movie, the Gene Wilder one.
Yep.
So much. My grandfather actually had it on VHS. If you guys don't know what VHS is, I'm sorry that you missed that era. But yeah, I like it. There was like when I went to visit him down in Florida, there was very little to watch as far as like movies and stuff. Like I remember, I think he had like a copy of Home Alone, a copy of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory or Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and then he had The Hunt for Red October.
Nice.
Silence of the Lambs.
Well, hello, Clarice.
Right. I want to say there was probably like some early 90s. I won't even call it a rom-com, but like just those romantic but kind of comedy movies.
Yep.
It was like Fried Green Tomatoes or some shit like that.
That's a pull. Look at that.
That was one of my mom's favorite movies, so that's why.
There you go.
Yeah. That and Four Weddings and a Funeral.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Those are some deep cuts.
Yes. See?
What about you?
A question that you didn't originally have an answer to led to some conversation. That's good.
I sure did.
We'll take that.
Right.
Growing up, I really only, besides like sports articles and magazines, there was really only like one real book series that I got heavy into, and that was because my grandma would, when we would stay with them, she would always have one of the series and she would read them to me and my sister. And it would be like our nighttime routine after settling in. We would always spend half hour to an hour, depending on how involved we were, if we were feeling, and she would read to us every night. So it was a series called Redwall, and it's based off of like animals being like the main characters and being like people. So what is that animorph? What's that term?
Yeah, well, there was a whole series called Animorphs, and funny enough, I actually had all of them, but I never read them. It was just one of those things that you were cool if you had them.
Yeah. So this is like elementary school, early middle school for me. It was
Okay.
like woodland creatures were like pretty much people essentially, but it was
So like a
medieval
moose was a
times.
person.
Well, like mice and ferrets and otters and foxes and shit
You've
like that.
just named invasive species and rodents.
But and it was like they were in think like medieval times where they had like castles and like
Oh,
swords and
now
doing
we're
battle
really
and
taking
shit.
it out
Oh
to
yeah,
left field. What's
I'm
happening?
saying it was fun back then. It
Was
was
this like the Three Mouseketeers?
a little bit, but it had some almost like religious, I think, undertones with some of the like backstory. It was like like full on novel kind of thing, but it was like
Right.
world building, and they each book kind of built on more of them. So it was kind of, you know, I like world building, like fantasy type stuff sometimes. So that was up my alley at the time, and it was more so the the quality time spent with the Gma and my sister, just sitting there
Mm-hmm.
listening to her read to us and everything. So,
Mm-hmm.
whoop, did not
I
mean to
feel
do
it.
that.
My mom used to. I don't know if people remember these. There were these Disney books, and they had like a gold binding on it, right? And they
Little
were like the
books.
short. Yeah, they were like the short stories of all
Mm-hmm.
of the Disney cartoons, and it was because of that I fell in love with Peter Pan, and then like I started like wondering where Peter Pan and that whole story was, and I found out it
Mm-hmm.
was in London, and then started rolling deep into like the whole Peter Pan story and shit. That was honestly where I first started falling in love with England, to be honest.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah, I think it was Hook that really turned me. It was between that book and Hook, because I mean it
Mm-hmm.
was all around the same time in my life that it all came out. So
Right.
um, yeah, I Hook seeing Jack slide down the separator
Mm-hmm.
on the steps and and then what's his name? Toodles. Toodles opens up the door and he goes, "It's snowing!" Boom.
Just quick slam in your
I
face.
died in
Dude,
the movie theater when I saw that shit. I was the only kid laughing in there. Everybody was like, "How rude!"
and you're just like, that was fucking funny.
I'm like, Toodles, my boy.
That's hey, just looking for his marbles, bro.
Right? He was just looking for his marbles.
That movie is
Oh,
phenomenal.
it's
If you haven't
still
watched that
epic, dude.
recently, it holds up.
Yeah.
Holds up.
Well, it's also because
Um,
Robin Williams is a fucking legend
Genius. Exactly.
and a
What
genius.
a let's build off of that with my next one. If you could have dinner with any fictional character, who would you want to have dinner with? And if you want to make it a, you know, table of four, pick three with you. That's fine too. If you want to
Well,
just go
if we're
one,
going to do that,
fictional character.
listen, first person I'm sitting down with, Bruce Wayne.
That's a great choice.
We're gonna have a long talk, and I'm gonna somehow work for him. Second person I'm sitting down with, if we're going on like a round table here, this is a like a very recent thing in life. John Dutton. I want to sit down and have dinner with him. I don't want to have dinner with Beth because she makes it awkward every time.
Every meal. Jesus.
I would love to give Kevin Costner just like one decent meal. We have like real conversation. I really feel
Yes.
bad for him. Um, who else? Fictional character that I would love to sit down with. Um, Probably Tony Stark, just
Oh,
because
I was just thinking about him.
him and Batman are so very much the same.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I just being around like rich millionaire playboys and like just picking their brains and gaining some knowledge would be epic for me. I don't know that there's a fourth. I'm trying to
That's okay.
like may, maybe Willy Wonka himself, just because he's kooky and I love chocolate. So
There you go. I like that.
I'm going to try to get that lifetime supply.
Facts. There
What
you
about
go.
you? Who's your round table of fake people?
I'm gonna go Indiana Jones.
Okay. Adventure. All right.
Adventure, badass stories for days.
Right.
Sherlock Holmes,
Investigated motherfucker.
clever,
Little,
witty,
little,
good
little,
banter,
little quirky. Yeah.
little quirky. And to round out the quirkiness and go completely against the grain with those two individuals, I'm going Captain Jack Sparrow.
All right. Can we get honorable mentions? Because one just popped into my head.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. My honorable mention to whom I would have sit at my table for comedic purposes only,
Hmm.
Alf.
Dude.
Could you imagine Bruce Wayne, Tony Stark, Willy Wonka, and Alf at a fucking table? Like,
Somehow it works, in my opinion. I think that would be a great conversation and a good meal right there. Oh my gosh.
Alf is just cutting up on him the whole time.
The
Like,
entire time. The entire time.
do you know how great it would be if they brought back Alf and like kind of put like a not so PG version of him out? Do you know how great that would be?
That'd be
We,
solid.
did, we might have to make this happen. I'm gonna have to start calling Hollywood.
See if we can figure it out. Absolutely.
Oh man,
You've traveled more than I have, so tell
quite a bit.
me the most interesting place that you've visited.
Most interesting. Define your terms on interesting, because that could go a few different ways. Um,
However it means to you.
Calgary was very interesting. Calgary
There we
was
go.
very interesting. Um, it's really it's really just an extension of every town that falls on the Rocky Mountains, like whether it be Denver or like something in Wyoming. You know what I mean? Like it's just not very far off of that. But then you have this whole like Canadian twist with it, and then
Hmm.
in the back of your mind, you're like, oh shit, this is where Bret Hart's from, right? The whole Hart
Right.
family,
Yep.
and you're trying to get your gauge on it because it's like you know that it's kind of like a bunch of Canadian rednecks, but then you also understand that it's like rich Canadian rednecks, and then you also understand they're all cowboys. Yeah.
Okay.
You go out anywhere, there's more cowboy hats that I've seen there than I have seen. I would even go and say is more than I've seen in Texas in one spot. Yeah.
No shit.
Oh yeah. Dude,
Learning new things tonight.
the rodeo is massive up there.
That's dope.
Yeah.
Learning new things
Um,
tonight.
if we're gonna talk about cool places, I don't know, man. I really can't. I really can't put my finger on that, just because not only have I flown to most of my destinations, I've also driven the country like 3 or 4 times.
Right.
Um, there's so much beauty to catch within our walls. It's ridiculous. Um, the first
Yes.
time that I ever saw the Rocky Mountains, like the actual Rocky Mountains, not like the southern end of it, because I lived in Arizona for a while, and you get the southern end of it, right there in Sun Valley, um, in Phoenix, where I used to live. Um, but we had just crossed over. The girl I was had I actually we split, and she helped me drive all the way to Denver to pick somebody up to drive back across. This is when I seen them for the first time. Um, there's a little town right over the border called Trinidad, and you just see the beginning of the Rocky Mountains. Like it's just like it was the first. I don't know. It was so weird. Like you just kind of see it. I want to trip balls and try. Yes, yes. Let's go. Let's go. Joshua Tree is awesome, by the way. Um, but no, like you just see you see the first part of the actual Rocky Mountains, and like I got out on Interstate 25 and literally fell to my knees how majestic it was.
Hmm.
And then, funny enough, we had to go when we got up to Denver. We had to go all the way out to the airport. If anybody knows Denver, you literally to go to the airport, you have to go east out into the plains. You go so far out into the plains, you can't see the city or the mountains. Right.
Hmm.
So as you're coming back in on 70 West, you just start seeing the white peaks come up over the hill. Honestly, that was probably Colorado, in spite of all of its bullshit right now, is probably like the most beautiful place that I've seen, next to like Jackson Hole, Wyoming, or Redwood International or the National Forest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those are probably the most interesting places I've seen. Um, that's just in the U.S. though, so in the continent of North America.
Jealous, because I haven't done nearly as
It's
much as that.
I think that it's one of those things that you either do it when you're young and you have the time and you're not like weighed down or have any type of commitment. You just go off and do it. For me, I went off and became a flight attendant because it was something. It was second nature to me. My uh, adopted father was a flight attendant for U.S. Airways for like 35 years, and if it wasn't for him, I probably wouldn't have traveled as much as I did. Especially with how enamored, even as a child, I was of where I was born.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still like that to this day. I mean, when I go back home to Pittsburgh, I fall back in love all over again. But there's a lot to see, and I suggest anybody when they have the time, they go do it. If you're here in the States, go see the whole country. Don't just go to LA. Don't just go to fucking Dallas. Don't go to Miami. Don't go to New York. Fuck New York, by the way. Um, yeah, there's so much more to this country. There's so many different cultures within our country that you don't really understand that are there. I mean, just going from the East Coast to the Midwest to the West Coast, you're talking about three different realms, and then you're talking about the North and the South. Those are two different realms, and every state in and of itself really is just a little country.
Mm-hmm.
There's little bits of culture in every single one of them, and that's what I love so much about traveling the United States, is that it's not the same every place you go. There are subtle similarities, but much greater differences.
That's a great way to put that. Well said, sir.
For sure. Yes. And Stu, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. It's been a minute.
There you go.
Where are some places that you would like to travel
The
here in the
one
US
that
that you have not gotten to yet?
the one that really is in the back of the mind that was supposed to have happened, but COVID happened, and it shut down our trip. We had planned a whole Arizona trip out to Grand Canyon and all that, and see everything out there, see Monument Valley and all
Mhm.
that beautiful scenery. Um, had it all planned out. Talking to a buddy who lives out in Phoenix and was going to help us get squared away, and then pandemic happened, and that trip got put on hold, and then we readjusted plans, and everybody wanted to do a different big trip after that, so we
Mhm.
pivoted. Um, but getting out there and just seeing the natural beauty of that area is big on the list. I have heard nothing but good things from you and Zach about how beautiful Colorado is, so that's high on the list as well. Um, and then probably third, if I'm ranking them, would be the Pacific Northwest,
Yeah.
and seeing the countryside up there.
And,
It's just
and it's so interesting, especially when you get up into Oregon and Washington. There's literally like each one of the states has like three or four different like climate zones. Like if you look at Eastern Washington, it's all like arid desert and just like vast nothingness for a while, and then you hit the mountains, and then you get all that greenery once you go over towards Seattle, and then over towards the Emerald Isles and stuff like that. And
Yep.
then same thing with Oregon. I mean, it's got like a little patch of arid desert down here. The closer you get to like Nevada, and then like once you go over here, it's totally rainforest.
I'm assuming that was a joke.
I really hope that was a joke because that's blastable.
It was a good joke if that was.
It was a hilarious joke if you nailed it that way. Dude, okay, let me tell you about New Mexico since he brought that up. New Mexico is fucking weird, okay? So there's really only two main highways unless you're talking north and south that go through New Mexico, and it's Interstate 40 and Interstate 10. Which is the most northern part of the state and the most southern part of the state. So you don't really get to see the in between, but you kind of get an understanding. So I don't know if sorry, this sounds like an incomplete thought, but it goes together. I don't know if any of you know about skinwalkers, but that's a massive thing out there, and it's a very much Native American folklore of basically animals that shapeshift into human and back again. Um, they really like get into that shit out there, and like they're really into the supernatural up in what is called the Four Corners. So you get Colorado, New Mexico, Arizona, and Utah.
Yeah,
There's some weird shit going on out in that part of the country. I went and stayed in this little town called Snowflake up in northeastern Arizona, one of their ski areas. And we stayed in this little cabin. It was a girl scene at a time, and this dude who's in a band called the Black Moods, and his girlfriend at the time. And me and him went outside to go smoke a cigarette. Preface this: before we even got to said cabin, I had never seen an elk before in my life. Never.
Okay.
So we're driving this country back road, 2-lane, trees on both sides, embankments up hills, whatever. All of a sudden, this massive beast just flies out of the fucking trees and lands his front fucking hooves right on the pavement. Have to swerve the guy, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? And they're like, oh, it's just an elk. And I'm like, oh, it's just an elk that looked like a whole giant Sasquatch looking thing. But yeah, we were sitting outside smoking a cigarette, and like bobcats were fucking making noise. And I've heard bobcats before, but it was a little different out there. It wasn't quite the same noise. Mm-hmm. Could have swore it was a fucking skinwalker.
That's wild.
Yeah,
I like how they just played that off like it was just an elk, like it's
just an elk
ass animal.
No, it doesn't stand like 12 foot tall, just in the front. Like massive antlers. Yeah, surprise. Yeah, there's a really good places though to put on the list. You're obviously from the Northeast, so you know what that's like up there. I, on the other hand, that's one of the like specifically Maine is not a state that I've been to yet, and I would really like to get to. Lucky enough, Megan has family friends that live up there, and they go up there. Like her parents go up there once a year or whatever. So it's not that it'll be in the cards eventually. How about this? What are some countries aside from England that you would like to visit in the next 20 years? If we're not all dead.
Who knows? We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right.
Japan is very high on the list to see the culture, to see the history out there. I desperately want to go to Australia. I want to go see the Australia Zoo and meet Irwin's family. Mm-hmm. A boy growing up. So Australia, Japan, and then one more. You said outside of England, right?
Yeah, outside of England.
Okay.
It's like a given for us. It's on the bucket list. It's going to happen soon.
I would have to go with Greece and see the Mediterranean from that side.
Santorini, bro.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I was
Santorini.
thinking. Absolutely
Yeah.
gorgeous from pictures, and have a couple of people I know that have went and got to see their pictures, not just stock Google images that you find on searching, and
Right.
it's totally different. So Australia to experience pretty much the farthest distance you could probably go away from where we're at. Japan's culture in history and everything, I think would be amazing, and then Greece would be my top three, I think.
Did you wear dragon printed shirts when you were in middle school?
I did not, but I did have that little dragon chain.
Ah,
From was it Piercing Pagoda in the middle of the mall where you get the silver chain and you get the little dragon?
Yes.
I had the dragon.
Yes, I definitely had. I had this one button down. When I moved down here from Pittsburgh to Virginia, like I changed my whole look because like I just was so disinterested in living here and wanted to be extremely different from everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when we went to go school shopping that year for 7th grade, my mom, she liked me dressing nice. I liked dressing nice, but then I got this rebellious streak in me. And this is when FUBU was big.
I remember FUBU.
I totally got a FUBU jersey.
Hell yes.
Yeah, and it was black and gold. It faded from like this like steel colored black to yellow. And then I got this one. I don't remember exactly where I got it from too. I got this one white and blue dragon printed shirt. And like I totally, and I'll find this for somebody just to make fun of myself. I totally, way before everybody else started dyeing their tips of their hair, or the frosted tips, or started doing the M&M style.
Yep.
I totally like went full top, just yellow. Everything else was black.
Oh, I need to see that.
You'll get a picture of that somehow, somewhere.
Yes. Let's go.
It's embarrassing as hell. And what's even more embarrassing is the day that the picture was took, I was in school suspension.
That's even better. Yeah. That's a good story right there.
I look so happy in the picture, let me tell you.
I'll bet you do. Jeez.
Oh, man.
All right, I got one more.
All right.
One more for us before we wrap up. If you have a time machine, would you
DeLorean.
rather... Okay. You have a DeLorean.
I have a DeLorean.
Cool. Would you go... If you say you're in Back to the Future, would you go back and fix past mistakes, or would you do Back to the Future number 2 and go forward to see what the future looks like? Would you rather go back in the past and correct some things, or would you rather go see what the future holds for you and your family?
There, as somebody who really loves that trilogy, I have spent many hours wondering what I would do if I had the chance to go back in time and fix anything in my life. And as I've gotten older, that answer has changed. When I was younger and more impressionable and unsure of certain things in my life, I probably would have said I want to go back in the past and fix a specific moment where my mother didn't meet my biological father. But I've gotten past that, and now that I'm older, I think that if I really wanted to do it, I think I would go number 3. Would rather have a future but no past, or have a past with no future. Why, Cam? Why do you always try to go for the deep shit when we're talking?
I don't have the brain capacity.
I don't have the brain capacity for your I just graduated college stuff right now. Let me answer the question. I think that I would honestly go back like way, way back in time just to witness something rather than try to change something. Because as you learn in the movie, if you do any of those things and you fuck with the time continuum, you don't know what the outcome will end up being, and it will not be the same one that you remember. Um, yeah, I would just like to go back and witness time periods and stand there like a just an ordinary person in the crowd
And observe.
and
Not interact.
observe. Yep, I think there's a lot that can come from that as far as learning goes, because I very often believe that most people don't look at the past in order to see the future.
Or they read one source of information about what has happened in the past and believe it as the the God's
The end all
honest
be all.
truth, end all be all, and not realize that that was coming usually from one perspective in a situation, and not thinking, you know what, there was lots of other people that probably saw or witnessed the same thing or experienced it, so maybe I should, to get the full picture of what happened,
Right.
do it that way. But in your situation, you get to see it from your own, with your own two eyes, so you can draw your own conclusions and not have to rely on other
A
sources of
history book.
information. Yes.
Right.
Which
Especially
read them with
those
an
high school
agenda.
ones. Yeah,
An
especially those
agenda.
high school ones. That was totally an agenda back then too. Yeah. Cam, I'm going to answer your question because as he was talking, I was pondering it. Would I rather have a future but no past, or have a past with no future? Well, if you think about that, right, in a philosophical sense, having a past with no future is no different than what we're living right now, because we don't really know what our future is, right? Unless you're saying that, like, I can only live up until a specific moment and I have to relive that like Groundhog Day. The former part of the question, would I rather have a future but no past? I feel like a lot of people would love to have their pasts wiped out so they can form a better future, right? That way people aren't using things against them for nefarious reasons.
Bringing up old shit.
Exactly. Bringing up old shit. People
Using it
change through
against you.
life. So it's like,
Yeah.
I know I'm getting a little deep on this, and I'm sure it was just meant for fun, but like it really made me think, though. Thank you, Cam, for making me think, because I probably should turn my gears a little bit harder after the last couple of days, but people suck. People really do suck, man. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's getting older. I don't know if it's, just the way society is now. Like,
Combination of both, I think.
it might be a combination of both. I've just never seen. You would think that in a world where we have all the information at our fingertips, that there wouldn't be as many dumbasses, but there are. There's more dumbasses than there was before the internet, I feel like.
It's
And
like a
also,
double-edged sword with
you
that
could
much
trust
info.
you could trust your elders to tell you something and have some sort of weight to it. You know what I mean? Now everybody's like, "Oh, if it's not the exact fact," like, bro, if you want to know the whole thing, man, it's literally right there.
And don't use Wikipedia.
No,
Make
Wikipedia is not a viable source on everything. Yeah,
When
just
you
because it
Google
shows up at the top of
Wikipedia,
the
yeah,
list.
just because it's the first one that pops up when you Google what is the best way to do this, Wikipedia is
Well,
not
now
that.
they've got the whole AI thing with
That
Google. It
answers it
literally
before you.
fucking right.
Summarizes it right at the top for you.
Yep.
So, man,
All right, hour and a half. We've had a good time. We want to thank everybody that's stuck in here tonight. We appreciate you. We appreciate all of our new followers. Definitely appreciate all of our subscribers that have been here for a while. We appreciate you all being here. And until Sunday, make sure you hit the like, make sure you hit the subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bells, and we'll see you then. And we're gonna leave you with since he did his thing.